Hello everybody, and welcome to the Klonoa playthrough. Now you may be thinking, hasn't Richie already done this game before? And you would be correct, actually. This was my 9th playthrough overall. Like, 9. This is now 51. I have done a lot. And actually looking at the date for the original Klonoa playthrough, that was, started on the 25th of April 2011 and finished 14th of May 2011. So it has been a very long time since I last did Klonoa. Like, a very long time. But I thought, you know what, I need a short game that I can get done in a very small amount of time to just fill the gap between the end of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations and my 8th YouTube anniversary, and you know what? Let's do it with a game that I feel deserves a second look, because obviously 6 years ago my commentary skills were not great. I mean, the fact that I used my original Klonoa playthrough as an audition for Hellfire commentaries didn't get in, because why would I? Because that commentary was okay at the best. And now look at me now. 6 years later, actually part of Hellfire Comms for 3 years, at least nearly now. And you know what? I feel now's the time to come back to this and give it the cracker commentary that it definitely deserves, because it's an adorable, really poorly underlooked gem that was on the Wii. And it will forever slightly annoy me, because the underachievement of this remake is basically why we never got a remake of Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil. Because that was actually the first game that I have played in the Klonoa series. Of the 2 games that I have played, i.e. Klonoa 2 and Klonoa. And the reason that I got into the franchise was because there was those demo discs that you used to get on the PS2, and on one of them that I had, there was Klonoa 2. It was a demo, and I think you had one of the jungle hoverboard sections. That was one of the levels, and the opening level of the game, and I just really enjoyed it. But obviously I was a kid, I didn't have any money, so I never got the full game. And then years later, this remake came out of the original Klonoa, and I was like, oh, that's that game franchise that I really liked as a kid that I never actually ended up playing. I'm going to get this and see what it's like, because I like that, so there's no reason that I won't like this. And boy, I was correct, because it's just adorable, it's light-hearted and fun, and I really like Klonoa, and it breaks my heart that the franchise has never really received the love it deserved, because it's a fun little platformer. This and the sequel, they're just so good, and yet hardly anybody has played them. I mean, I think more people have played the original PS1 Klonoa now, because obviously this is a remake of the Klonoa Daughter Phantomile that came out in 1997 in December 1997 in Japan, and then March 1998 in North America and June 1998 in Europe. The remake was developed by Pound, or Pound, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, and was released in December 2008 in Japan, so 11 years later, and then May 2009 in North America and Europe, so that would be 11 years later once again. And the original Klonoa Daughter Phantomile has since then been released on the PlayStation Network, on PS3, PS Vita and PSP, so you can certainly get access to Klonoa, but it's just a shame that it never really soared to the heights that it could have done. I suppose because it deals so heavily in the idea of dreams, and it's got a very cutesy art style, which ultimately I feel they'd end up potentially turning some people off. Because they looked at it and saw, oh look, here's this really cute game. This is clearly a very kiddie game. Therefore, I'm going to pass on it. And actually, it's in terms of its narrative, it's certainly a lot darker than you would expect for a kiddie game. But... and gameplay-wise, while it is an easy game, there are some challenges there. And that's why I really like it. It's a fun game, and you certainly should play it if you get the chance. I would always heartily recommend the Klonoa franchise to anyone who loves a good platformer. Now, you may have noticed there's something a little bit different going on than when I first did my Klonoa run-through, and that's the language being used. Because in that original Klonoa walkthrough, whatever I called it a walkthrough. Probably wasn't quite a walkthrough because I didn't get 150 gems in every single stage, so I'll probably call this a playthrough because it's kind of similar in that respect. Semantics. But in that game I used the English dub because that's what I was used to at the time, and since then I have played Klonoa 2 a little bit more. I really like that, and also I wanted to give you something a little bit different for this run through the game, because even though the gameplay may be maybe a little bit better or a little bit worse, I don't know, it depends how skillful I end up being, which may or may not be brilliant, or oh dear, I've forgotten too much of this game to do well, but we shall see in time. But yes, the language that you're hearing throughout the game in this dub is the Phantomilian, which is the original language that the game used, and it's cute. I mean, it's gibberish, but it is based on Japanese dialogue. So with like Klonoa, you have wahoo, which means okay. You have rupuru, which means let's go. You have wehe, which is like what or why. You have palamo, which means go away. You have idaba, which is I am. You've got manya, which is like a oh no type dealio, it's just a general negative type of thing. You've got maida or hnya, which is like a yelp of shock or pain. You've got yadu, which is a formal affirmative. Padu, which is a casual affirmative. Dabura, which is a lie. Du, you. Dupu, which is like a short affirmative. The Frefri is a how do we get there, and Churapa is a thanks. And oh, it's just a cute little nonsense language that you can actually translate, because obviously there's the song Stepping Wind in Klonoa 2, which has a direct translation, which is always quite fun. I remember singing along to that, and that's a fun one. Now, obviously, I've kind of completely just blathered over pretty much all of the gameplay just there. So, let's go on my oh my god, Klonoa, I love it ramble. But now we'll actually get into the nitty-gritty of the gameplay. So, as I said, it's a platformer, but it is unique in that Klonoa's got a little hover manoeuvre, and he's got a thing called a wind bullet, and basically you use the ring that has the little fairy thing called Thupo in it, and you can grab enemies, inflate them, and use them to either double jump, or to throw them at other enemies, or eggs, or whatever, to get little hidden secrets. And really this is what makes Klonoa quite an interesting game to play, because while it is relatively easy to get yourself out of trouble if you have an enemy on hand, it can well, you have got to be careful still. And also you've got a lot of things where you're shooting into the foreground and into the background, so it's a proper full-on 2.5D adventure. And I mean, I believe with the original game, basically I think that they wanted to play with that, because you didn't really get a whole lot of full-on 2.5D games at the time. They were either 2D or 3D, really. And so having this mesh is just quite fascinating, because also the fact that sometimes all the different levels alternate, and I mean at the time Klonoa Wii was, I think, well, not Klonoa Wii, the original PS1 Klonoa was quite a feat, really. And that's just really awesome. And so you collect gems, and these don't really do anything. It's just this very basic thing of, if you get 100, I believe it is, you get an extra life, which is quite nice. Also, for major completionists, you want to try and get 150 gems in each level. This is arguably one of the bigger challenges in the game, because to get those 150 you need to make excellent use of, I believe they're called mirror fairies. Basically they will double any gems that you pick up in terms of their value, and pretty much you need to get all of the mirror fairies in, all the gems in a mirror fairy's location to succeed. You also need to find all of the little hidden eggs and so on in order to get that. You've also got the villagers who are trapped. Well, I should say Phantomillions, because that's what they're called. And they're hidden in eggs or in just bubbles located around the area. Generally, they're all a little bit of a surprise, so you have got to go hunting them out. But it does mean that as long as you explore, you'll be fine. There is one slight problem that I do have with Klonoa in terms of how its levels are laid out, and that is just that it's so easy to take the correct path, and by the time you've taken the correct path, it's too late to go down the wrong path, which is generally where a Phantomillion is located. Now, it's not a big deal because the levels are generally so short that you will have more than enough time to go back in and replay, and actually, so far in what I've recorded, which is only 2 visions, I'll grant you that, I have had to go back in and just go, I missed the level, but I've like missed a Phantomillion or 2. Should probably go and get that sorted. So I've had to replay the level, but this is fine because the game doesn't autosave unless you ask it to, and really I'm okay with having extra gems because I'm not going for that 150 gem total because I'm just not skilled enough at this game to do so. But ooh, lots! Obviously we've been running around with Klonoa and Hippo, but here we have the Songstress Lefis, we have Joker and Lord Guardius.
Very good.
I do. Now this is something that's completely ridiculous. I remember mentioning it when I first played this game for you all. Klonoa and Hippo were just like, I wonder who that is! Really loudly, like normal talking volume, and then the bad guys figure out that they're there. It's just like, Are you thick? I mean, to be fair, we're dealing with two characters who are going to constantly introduce themselves as, "Hello, I'm Klonoa from Wind Village, and this is Hupo." And it's just like, guys, please find another way of introducing yourselves, please. But yes, Joker and Guardius are our bad guys for the game. And so, it's time for a boss fight. And I like how he grows the boss fight here, but yes, this is, I believe, Rongo Lango. Now, Rongo Lango is not a difficult boss fight. Most of the boss fights in this game are not overly difficult. Obviously, Joker mentioned beware of your backside, and that's basically because, yes, his weak point is his butt. So, you've just got to make sure you run around and try and hit him. The best time to hit him, at least for the first few cycles of his attacks, is just after he has jumped and landed. Because then he's not got time to move around on his arse. After you've got rid of half of his health, he'll move into this shooting a shockwave move, which is really not difficult to dodge, and basically you just hit him after the thing's gone, and he's dead. He's a really easy boss to defeat. It's just a case of getting the timing down, and I can actually say that that's an easy boss this time, because it went well. If you look at my original one, I was just like, yeah, this is an easy fight, and I'm just constantly having to run around and he keeps screwing me over it. So, skills definitely improved somewhat. And oh look! It's that pendant that they were mentioning. Oh, Grandpa's awesome.
Wafu mamragati wamu barubamiu uhumu orekoafu fo baruki fo mani obaba.
And so, we set off on our journey and save our progress, and all will be good. I shall see you next time for Vision number 2.